everybody? It's your boy Cool Eagle back here, another video. Just want to come talk to you guys as well. Do we have a topic to talk about today? Something that I think y'all will genuinely enjoy. Something that I think y'all will like to press the like button for and get your boy into the algorithm because the channel's growing. I can't do it without you guys. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work tuning in, hitting the like button, and getting some subscriptions over here. So, today's topic, man, we're talking about, is race a social construct or is it something that we need to take serious? Now, what is race, right? Now, from what I've been told in the American education system, there are three races in the known world, right? You're black, which is you're of African ancestry, you're white, you're of Caucasian ancestry, or you're Asian. You're from, like the Asiatics, right? Which is China, Japan, the Taiwanese islands, South North Korea, all that. So, from what I've been told about race, there are only three known races, and you can comment on that if you like. You know, um, this is a free up to debate topic, right? So, when we think of race, like you gotta think of it like from the American standpoint, because obviously we're not European, so we can't really, you know, give a description of race from a European standpoint. But when we talk about race, it's one of the more hardest things to talk about in our nation right now, just because so many different people have opinions about it. You either want people to just ignore it or sweep it under the rug, which you're totally in the right to believe. And then you're on the other side where you think like race plays a significant part in how we live today. And based on who you are, your perspective differs. Um, Now, from my perspective, growing up as an African American, someone of obvious African ancestry, um, I would say race definitely has played a part in my life, not only on the socio like political side, but in just like society in general. Like when I come up to people, people don't know who I am. Like they look at my dark skin, they look at the dreads, I'm saying, the nice little dreads, and they have an opinion. Like in most people stereotype. Hey, Bad King, how are you? Aiden Tavernier, how you doing? Um, so when people first look at me, right, automatically it's going to be some kind of stereotype. And this is just not for me as a black man. Like if you're a white man and you come up to like some random group of people, they have a stereotype about you, or like if they're in a bad mood that day, they have a microaggression about you. And if you're an Asian person, if you go into a group of people already have a stereotype about you. Now, I'm not saying stereotypes are true, but stereotypes are based off of observation of, like black people liking chicken. Now, black people liking chicken shouldn't really be an insult because a lot of races of people like chicken. Asian people like chicken. Mexican people definitely like chicken, you know, but because of the microaggressions we have against different races of people, all of a sudden those stereotypes can turn into these micro and macro aggressions that we see today where you have these racial epithets of not only black people but white people, Mexican people, Asian people. So um and we also have stereotypes about white people. White people, but more times than not, the stereotypes about white people is like they have a lot of money, they talk a certain way. What I'm saying, like white people don't really match when they dress, which is all not bad things at all. What I'm saying? But we do obviously see some kind of bias when we talk about different races of people. And oftentimes these biases are negative, like I'm saying like Asian people being super smart, Asian people not knowing how to drive. Those are all stereotypes that are based off observations of people when they're engaging with these different races. And obviously living in America, we can't really help but stereotype because we've been around it for so long. You know, and and these different microaggressions. Like you ever been cut off by a Mexican person in traffic? You know, if you're in a bad mood that day, a microaggression is going to come out of you. Hold on, let's see this message if that's hell for review. Who's as shit? Yeah, oh, yeah, Sandra, you're right. As shit. Yeah, yeah. Like America in totality, we're stereotypical as shit. Like I'm not gonna say racist because not everybody's racist. We just have stereotypes of different people based off observation, and obviously, social media doesn't make it any better. So, I want to go into a video about, talking about is race being a social construct. Now we're going to watch this and hear this audio from Vox debunking the myth of race. And we're obviously going to have different discussions about it, and you guys are free to, like put your opinion in the comments, like all that good stuff. So let's watch hear what Vox says, right? Obviously, there's ads because who pays for YouTube Premium? I do, obviously, but talking about TikTok. What the fuck? I don't want to hear a commercial about TikTok. Okay, okay. Okay, now I don't really like that first statement because if you say you're a certain race and people ask you to prove it, why? I mean, you can look. I mean, obviously now, like you can't look at a person and tell them that they're not white or they're black. All right. Now you can clearly tell if someone is black, by certain features. Um, and but again, this is just race and ethnicity. You can't tell me I'm not African American because then that will be something that I'll have to prove to you because black people are from different sects of the world. Africa. There are black people in China. There are black people like in Japan. So I might be Afro Mexican for all you know, but be African American. That will be something that I have to prove, and that's something that we're going to talk more about in this audio. Now, now, do y'all agree that race isn't real? Because science tells us that race is definitely real. We look at skeletal structures from thousands of years ago, and scientists are able to now determine if you're Caucasian, if you're African, or if you're from the Asiatics based on your skeletal structure. So I automatically disagree with the fact that race isn't real because race is definitely real. But the idea of race is a social construct, and that's what we're going to get into. Yeah. So obviously, there's a thing called racism. The idea that one race is superior over another. And obviously, earlier during the founding of America, white people had determined that their race was superior to other races of people, like Native American people who are of, to me, to me, to me, Native Americans are of Asian descent. And they were also very prejudiced against people like me of African descent. You know what I'm saying? And that's the idea of racism. And that's where we begin into the idea or the opinion, which leads into the question if race is a social construct. Because the first idea of racism in America was just a thought that became justified in all sects of life. Because remember, slavery itself, and again, this isn't a live about slavery. We're just talking about the social construction of race. Racism in America became justified through the Catholic Church and through the various elites of white people that had determined that because if you're not of white descent, you are inferior. So automatically, if you're not white, you weren't right. You know what I'm saying? So right now, Vox is going into um, how racism and its social construction began in the Americas. And that's so crazy because that leads into today, where on the U.S. Census, uh, Mexicans are considered white people, even though if you go into like their genealogy, a lot of Mexicans are of Asian descent. And again, that's just like some historical things that will go on later on in the live. But we're just talking about how they're classifying an ethnicity of Mexican people because Mexican people are not a race of people. Mexican people are a ethnicity of people. Y'all, and in that 2000 census, like where they talked about a person's race, they added ethnicities and confused the population of what race actually is. Because if you go on any kind of census document, it says white, which is a race, black, African American, black, which is a race, uh, Asian people, which is a race. But then they start going into ethnicities. Vietnamese people, that's an ethnicity. Korean people, that's an ethnicity. Japanese people, that is an ethnicity. Samoan, that is an ethnicity. Because there are only, from my American education, has taught me that there are only three races of people: African, Caucasian, and Asiatic. And you can split, and nowadays they split like Asiatic into different you know uh like sub races, like Malayan and different kind of other things. But for the most part, because Malaysia is part of Asia, it's literally in the name, Malaysia. You know what I'm saying? So race as a social construct became confusing because we started confusing ethnicities with races of people. And that's why race has become more of a social construct. And it's always been a social construct to me because of how it not only began in the Americas through the justification, like in religion and different, like literature and in politics, race became a social construct because we started losing the definition. Like we started adding different like definitions to race. We started adding sub races to it, which is why when you look on your 2000 census, it's no longer just white, black, or Asian. It's Asian Indian, which is dumb because everybody knows that India is part of Asia. Although like when you look at an Indian person, you don't see what the the social construction that they gave you of race is. Indians are Asians. They're Asians. They are part of Asia, but they will confuse you and tell you that Indian is a different kind of Asian, and they put Asian Indian before that. But Asian Indian doesn't make any sense because Indians are Asian. So let's move forward.